There's an answer specific to the examples you gave, which I'll address, and there's the general idea. So, first of all, we have to accept, and this is true whether a person is a Jew or from the nations. We have to accept the commands, whether we understand them or we don't understand them. Not everyone is given, maybe not everyone understands them, particularly right away. But look, what the idea basically is that we have to understand as much as we can, and through that will help us bolster our faith, bolster our confidence, really, in the relationship that we have with God, and give us the ability, although we don't, for what we don't understand, to say, I trust. I trust that the other things are also for my benefit, because God is the creator. He loves his creation and only wants to bestow good on his creation. And obviously everything he's telling us is good advice, good for me, good for the world, etc. It's kind of like basically when parents tell their children and give them advice and tell them do so and don't do so. A lot of times those children don't understand. They certainly don't want to listen, but deep down they know it's for their benefit, and they know that their parents are representing what's essentially right in the world, and that they know that, even if initially they don't listen. So that's a general starting point, is following and accepting the yoke of heaven, but yet with the trust that there is a reason and that it is good, as opposed to simply suspending reason and saying this commandment is not good or bad, or it's just completely a zero, and I just have to listen, and what God wants is just robots. No, God doesn't want robots, but sometimes we're just not on the level to understand things, and then there are things that are actually go so beyond that we can't. But interestingly enough, in Jewish tradition, even those things that we can't understand, the commentaries are always looking for reasons for us to understand. I'll give you an example. The red heifer law. All over this in our sources, the sages say, this is the paradigm of the law that we can't understand. Right next sentence, oh, but this is what it represents. What's going on? He just said this has not a reason. The very next line it says, yeah, but this is to atone for the calf. That's why it's also it's a cow, because it's to atone for the golden calf, and so on. And there's a bunch of other explanations all about the different things that are burnt. Also, that that the haughtiness is put together with the azov, the hyssop, which is small, to recount humility. We just said it doesn't have a reason. So why are we giving reasons? Well, the answer is because human beings should still seek reasons, even for things they don't understand, as much as we can, to connect to it so that it's personal for us and that we do engage our minds with it. So, but let's get to some things more specifically, and that is that we should try to understand and push to understand with respect that this is Hashem's will, and I want to understand, as opposed to simply rejecting it or discarding it and saying this doesn't make sense. I don't. This is off out of hand. That's a tendency a person has to be very, very careful with, is to find something which may seem on its face or initially based on the culture we're brought up in to seem irrational or unacceptable, and to try to understand it and say, well, if this is the standard, let me try to understand where this is coming from, as opposed to saying, this goes against my, culture or morals that I grew up with, so I'm going to discard it. Obviously, the second way is the person makes themselves into God and makes themselves into the arbiter of whether to accept or not to accept. Then you're not serving God, you're basically an independent, agent, taking what advice you want to and rejecting that you don't want to. And if that's the case, you're not really connecting with God in a real and honest way. Same way that serving a king or respecting a parent isn't just taking what you want, that's self-service, you know? And so, and this gets into another topic, which has to do with how do we become, when we have to abandon the entire modern perspective of self-gratification, of being self-focused and be other focused as much as we can. Obviously, a person has feelings and needs self-expression, so we have to satisfy that. But I don't think we have to work a lot on that because we're all naturally in that direction. If someone needs to do that, sure, that should obviously be done, particularly someone who has troubles with their self-esteem and stuff like that. But I think we all start with that perspective of, my life is about how do I get my needs fulfilled. It's all over in the world we're brought up in. So the question is, how do we get away from that to feel really dignified by living a life with a mission for others? In this case, what I mean is living in a life with a mission for God. As it says in Duties of the Heart, when a person realizes that God gives him everything, he feels this tremendous gratitude and obligation that he's ready to make himself a servant. Just like, again, this is really, kind of a throwback to a different era when there was maybe a concept in honor where, for example, if someone was saved by one individual is saved by another, that he may vow to be his servant for life. You saved my life is yours. I'm obligated to you. So the Rabbi Bachya explains there that same concept is with God, that we owe him everything, and his limitless kindness to us obligates us in a moral way. But what's beautiful is that's something we can understand, we can relate to, and we can draw some love towards God and relate to the whole relationship that he's asking us to do things. Anyway, I'm going on and on. I want to get back to the specifics. And the specifics are, you asked about two particular laws. One was about the mixing of the species, and you said it was irrational, that you can't mix, but you can have pleasure from it. And I'm going to ask you a question. I think that sounds pretty rational. If you wanted to, rational to me means, in other words, the law is saying, listen, once it happens, it already exists. So what's the point of not enjoying from God's world? You might as well take advantage of it. In fact, this was the Romans didn't understand why the Jews didn't work on the Sabbath. Why are you not taking advantage, profiting from life on that day and exploiting the resources of the world? Why are you, sitting and doing nothing? I'm just saying that in a different society, they may ask the opposite question of you. They may say, this is irrational okay, you don't want to mix species, but once it's done, isn't the rational thing to just enjoy it? It's here already. I mean, what are you going to, it's already here. So let's go for it. So you can actually make a counter argument to what you said and say it's completely rational to actually seek and to permit enjoyment once the act is already done. There's a halakhic question whether a non-Jew is obligated to not mix species. One thing I can say, which it appears to me at least, that if the two things. First of all, if there's an obligation, it's based on basically your logical conclusion that if God made species, that we shouldn't interfere, that we should respect the sanctity of God's order and not play around with it, that's a certain arrogance and dangerous to do. And again, it's very interesting because this is all interconnected, because we're talking about whether you have to understand the law. Do we have to believe that we understand nature? The answer obviously is no. In other words, once we accept that there's a God and that there's so much and accept the reality, we should all obviously already know that the mysteries of nature and the universe are well beyond us. And no matter how much we know, we'll never really understand it all and know it, no matter how much the scientists, chisel away at it. And if that's the case, we have to have some humility as we approach God's order and not just think that we can do whatever we want. And that's a lot of the problem, I think, today, is because the belief is it's random, and that maybe therefore it's even flawed, and therefore man should come along and make it better. The Jewish approach which was accepted during the Renaissance in Christian society was that God made the world perfect, and therefore it shouldn't be tampered with in that fashion. Anyway, moving on to the second law you mentioned, trying to remember what it was actually. The second thing, about bowing in front of the idolatry. You said that it wasn't rational if the person's just trying to get a coin. And so there's two perspectives. So from the personal perspective of you personally, that might be true. You know your intent. God should know your intent. So therefore, why should it matter if you're bowing, since you're just trying to pick up a coin anyway? However, if you take into consideration the outside, or people who may view what you're doing, its appearance, then we may come to a very different conclusion, that in fact you're doing an act which is showing is idolatrous in form and appears to be idolatrous. So you should refrain from it. I want to add something else here, which is extremely important. Everyone should listen closely. Most of you probably know this already, but it's worth saying. We have a fundamental rule in Judaism that what you do is who you are. That the acts of the physical body change your character. If you keep behaving in a compassionate manner, eventually you will become a compassionate person. If you behave in a humble manner, it changes the way. And the Sefer HaChinuch, which is the medieval work after the time of Maimonides that discusses all the different mitzvot, was translated to the Book of Education, and he codifies and lists all the different commandments, 613 of them. And he discusses this concept as he tries to give rational explanations for all the commandments. And he says, his son asked me, why are there so many commandments about the going out of Egypt? How many times do we have to commemorate the going out of Egypt in so many ways? So this is his answer. He says, because the more you do something, the more it imprints upon you. And he says, the more commandments about going out of Egypt, the more it imprints on the people, the event, and therefore the conclusion the person has to draw from the event. That God redeemed us, and he's our king, and we, again, have certain obligations towards him, and that, we're indebted to him, and so on and so forth, and we have this covenant with him. So the same idea here. You may think you're not doing anything by bowing to this idol, but the fact is you are bowing to an idol. And that is a problem. You may not mean to do it. It doesn't change the fact that on a certain level, your body may be tainted by this act. And therefore, you should want to stay away from it to completely. Finally, it's also disrespectful to God. Think about in the days of monarchs, if you would bow in front of an effigy, in front of an image of the king's enemy, you say, I'm just picking up a coin. That would be unacceptable. Unacceptable because of fear of the king. Even things just have an appearance of being disrespectful, you don't do. Same here. You have to act in a manner that shows that God is king. And therefore, even things so that means to fear him. Fear means staying away from things that give an appearance of disrespect. I hope I answered your question.
Beautiful.
Yes, the second one perfectly. I was wondering, so there's some laws like the logical laws. I can understand them in the end. There are some laws like the kosher laws that have no explanation. Those laws also you need to try to understand, or it is set on stone that there's no explanation for those. And another question that I had is, you talked about the red cow purity. If we Noachites, we can make sacrifices, do we need to purify ourselves for those sacrifices? And if we do, if there's no red cow, I'm just touching on that. What do you think?
Can I jump on that just real quick, and then I'll bat it over to you. I'm sorry, Sandy, we haven't forgotten you, okay? Sandy's being very patient. First of all, a Noahide can offer an olah offering, present an offering to Hashem anywhere in the world. Okay, clearly there are no prescribed purification rituals for the Noahide. However, it would be important for one to purify himself with intent and also with proper tshuva before doing that. That's number one. That's different from the sacrifices that would be given in the temple when the temple comes. You will also be able to come and provide an offering into the temple. Now, I am not aware of the full halakha or the Jewish law on the Noahide bringing a sacrifice to the temple and what types of things that he would have to avoid. At this point, I haven't studied it, so I can't really answer with authority to say, well, you need to mikvah, you need to do this. I don't know at this point. We just know that when the temple comes, you can bring a sacrifice. I would assume your sacrifice has still got to be pure. It's got to be without blemish. It's got to be the best that you can bring. But about whether you have touched a body, you have a bodily fluid on you, all those things. I don't understand the halakha yet. I have not studied it, and I promise you I'll study it and get with you. But Rabbi Weissman, maybe you have some input on this.
Well, simply put, technically speaking, a living animal doesn't contract tuma, doesn't contract impurity because it's a living animal.
Right.
Foods and vessels and people, Israelites, maybe even, well, non-Jews under certain circumstances, but not living animals. And therefore, it's not a problem because what happens is that the animal is passed from the ownership of one of the nations to the priest, and the priest is then slaughter it and continue with the process in purity. So there's not going to be any problem in terms of in the temple itself. Outside of the temple, the non-Jew has to, slaughters it. And by the way, I should know how to slaughter in a kosher way, and then brings the offering himself. And there's no rules about ritual impurity, as far as I know. So it doesn't really apply in the temple because the idea in the temple is that a non-Jew can, quote, make an offering, bring the sacrifice, but not do the act of slaughtering or offering or throwing the blood. It's done by the priest. Although because here's the thing, a burnt offering has to be slaughtered on the temple grounds. So a non-Jew can't do that.
Right.
So therefore, it has to be done. But even a Jew non-Cohen can't do that. I mean, there's technical discussions about if the knife is really long. I mean, even then, it's good. Look, practically speaking, it's impossible. It's not doable.
Yeah, I think that is really a good explanation. I appreciate you illuminating that because I really have not thought about this. Atalo shows me that you're doing a tremendous amount of study, and you can ask a very intelligent question like that. Shows to me what kind of student you are, and that makes sense. If you're going to bring, for example, let's say that the temple's built and you're going to fly from Peru and you're going to bring an offering, you purchase it in Jerusalem, you bring it there. First of all, the animal's going to be a perfect animal. It's not going to have crippled or any of those things. It's immaterial about what you have done. It's about what the priest is going to do now in bringing your olah, your offering to Hashem. So that makes sense. Do you have anything else before I pass it to Sandy? Atalo. Good questions, man. Like you and I are going to have to talk because there's something about your neshama. It's beautiful. Sandy?
No, and Atala was asking about if if I don't understand the commandment, do I have to do it anyway? And it made me think of Abraham when he's told, take your son Isaac and offering, bring him as a burnt offering. Did Abraham understand that on any level? Did that make any sense to him at all? I mean, this is the son who was promised that was going to be the heir, and not Ishmael. So it had to, I would think, cross his mind, this makes no sense, but he did it. So to me, that was just an example from Torah of a commandment that on the surface made no sense whatsoever, that he couldn't see the reason behind it. But it said he woke early in the morning and went about doing it. So.
Very, very good explanation, Sandy. I would also encourage you guys, if you've not started taking the Noahide Mitzvah course, look, we are only asking for you to take the course. If you don't have the money for it, contact me, but we're only asking like $5 donation a month or something to take the course, so that we can actually pay for the website and all the mechanisms to post this up. This is a yeshiva level study course on Noahide laws. And we actually, the last class, I don't know if it's posted yet, that I did was actually on the subject of mixing and breeding animals and plants. And you're right. You'll go through that and read the halakha on, and it's like makes your head swim. It's like, okay, let's say you buy a piece of property and somebody has a plant that's mixed together and grafted in that shouldn't be mixed. Do you enjoy the fruit? Well, if the tree is already growing and bearing fruit, yes, you can enjoy the fruit. However, if it's grafted together and mixed and hasn't borne fruit, then you're responsible for trying to disassemble that and to get rid of it, right? But if it's already matured, then you have to let it keep growing and growing fruit. Like in your mind, you're thinking, well, how is that both? Well, it's because Hashem is a merciful God, and he understands that this is how it works. And if it's fruit, and as Rabbi Weissman said, it's already produced, why not enjoy the fruit? So if you go onto a piece of property and find an apple banana, which I don't think there's such a thing, but if you happen to find that, then you can enjoy the apple banana. But you are absolutely forbidden to make that. So anybody else before we go? That's good, Atalo, good. Anybody else? Also, Nancy, the course, the lesson before that was on the treatment of animals, about mixed breeding animals, and also how to treat animals. You know, what's proper. It talks about euthanasia. It talks about all kinds of stuff. So it's a good course. Does anybody else? Steve, you've been a little quiet. Any questions or comments from you?
It's just nice hearing your voices. That's all.
It's nice hearing you, man. We missed you so much.
I've been working flat out, man.
I know. It's so good.
They've had me working 6 days a week for 14 hours a day from the 20th of December until last week, and I pulled out. I couldn't take any more, especially with becoming into spring and summer, and the amount of covers are going up just dramatically. I don't want to go into it all. It's just been a bit of a fiasco. But I went for a work trial 2 days ago, and the head chef phoned me today, and he said to me, "Yeah, come and we want to see you tomorrow. We'll give you we'll offer you the contract tomorrow." So, and the thing is, I'm working. Yeah, I'm working, instead of doing 14 hours, I'm doing 8 hours. So instead of doing 6 days a week, I'm doing 5 days a week. So I do 5 days a week at 8 hours a day. So that's fabulous. I mean, it's just
absolutely.
It's just sometimes you think you've got it right, and then you realise you've got it wrong, and then you just have to, kind of sort of rewind the clock and sort things out. But the good thing is, I've been paying my own rent, all my bills, 100% debt free. Everything is exactly on point to everything that I've learned.
Well, that job also gave you an opportunity to catch up, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm a bit of an evangelist when it comes to Hashem in the workplace. Wherever I go, I look for opportunities to, I don't know, just keep the opportunity arises, it keeps coming up. So everything I learned through you guys, probably 3 months ago, I've put all of that into practice, and it feels really good, man. I feel really, really good. I just wanted to come back and be part of the group and listen to your voices, and I mean, I bought a Hamash for a friend of mine, and that was really beautiful. I gave it to him, but I haven't been reading as much as I ought to. I haven't been studying. I haven't been doing a lot of things. But the thing is, I know what I've got to do, and I
Right.
think that's what's important.
Well, your mate never got a hold of me, but at the same time, one of the things that when people say, "Oh, I've got this great opportunity, make so much money, do this or that," without trying to be someone's daddy, because I'm not, is to just say, just be careful that you are not made so busy that you can't study and occupy yourself with some level of spiritual growth. And so we're glad to have you back. We really are. I'm sorry for the dogs. My
It's
wife
okay.
left.
I like it.
My wife went to go check the mail, and listen to this. They are heartbroken that she's walking down the street and they're not with her. So anyway, does anybody else have anything else before we go? Atalo, let's try to connect soon. Okay.
I just wanted to say, what Sandy said about Abraham. That is something that I would love to understand. I don't understand it. I guess it was the last test, so I have a long way to go before I have to grow to understand that part of the Torah.
Absolutely. And so let me just say this. It's all right not to understand. It's all right. It's just give it time. Don't what do you call it? Don't sweat all of this. Rabbi says, I have to go. Good night. No class this week. Tuesday, I hope to get back soon. No rush, please.
All right.
Okay, we understand.
So nice
I understand especially. Okay.
It was great. It was great
So
seeing
be well.
everybody and participating.